In this lesson, we're going to talk about domain names. So, does your domain name even matter? You know, the name that you use for your website, whatever.com or whatever.net or .co or .biz, whatever domain you're using, does it really matter? The answer is 1,000,000% yes. The domain name that you use for your website will greatly affect your marketing success or failure. I have seen undeniable mathematical scientific proof that the domain name that you use for your marketing online matters. So, domain names make a difference in ad click-through rates. It makes a difference in your natural search engine rankings and the rate at which people will click on the different titles for your pages that are ranked. It makes a difference for social media. It makes a difference for everything. Now, if you already have a website that you use and you already have an established business and you're doing some things, it may not be easy to change your domain name. Or it may be time for you to change your domain name. If you're really wanting to build a big, long-term, thriving business on the internet, your domain name is really the foundation of your web presence, of your online presence for everything, for desktop, for mobile, for email marketing. Just everything you do revolves around that domain name. So now may be time for you to consider creating a new domain for your business if you haven't really gotten entrenched in search engine rankings and doing some things for your business where you can start over or at least build from a different direction. And even if you already have a site that's already well ranked or has a lot of good marketing behind it, you still may want to consider setting up a new domain name because it does matter. I've seen the proof, like in Google AdWords ads, where the domain name shows in the ad, it can affect the click-through rates. So if it affects the click-through rates, it affects how much you pay per click, and of course, how much profit you make from that traffic. So when people post things on social media, or they have fan pages, or they do anything online, you use the internet, you look at people's domains, you see the domain name all the time. It matters, it just does. Several years ago, domain names didn't matter as much. People would bookmark sites, they would just click and come back to the site no matter how long or how hard it was to spell. A lot of people used to use domain names with hyphens between words because at one time, those actually ranked better in Google. It doesn't really matter anymore that you get no advantage in Google for that or very little. It's not worth doing. So branding your domain name as something that's the best you can use for your business, it really makes a difference in what you use for that domain name. We talked about branding a little bit and why that matters now. And the domain name is the key to your brand on the internet. It's the address that gets to the destination of your website, that sells your products, that publishes content, that does anything. So it really matters. Now, tips for selecting a domain. .com is still king. If you can, get a .com. Don't get a .co. Don't get one of these alternate, URLs. .com is king. When people see it, it just kind of already has that trust and authority compared to a similar domain with another extension. So I always tell my clients and students, always get a .com. Can you have success with something else? Yes. Have people made millions with other domains? Yes. But when it comes down to it, there's more consistency with .com. You're not fighting against trying to educate the market to remember some weird, exotic, obscure, type of extension. So always try to get a .com. Shorter is usually better. Not always the case, but if you can have a 2-word domain kind of brand for your site, it's better than a 3-word or 4-word or anything else. If you're going to make up a brand name, the shorter the better, rather than something really, really long. If it's a made-up name that's, it doesn't really have benefits in the words or something that people can recognize immediately just by reading it. Now, you want to avoid hyphens and numbers. I mentioned this. Hyphens used to be all the rage for rankings. It's not anymore. You also really don't want to use numbers within your domain. It can confuse people. Ones can look like L's. There's just all kinds of chaos behind that. It should be easy to spell. You don't want to use words that are hard to spell because when people try to get back to your site or they come back to find you, and a lot of people think that everything's about linking and bookmarks and coming off one site to another, and people don't have to really type in URLs. But that's not the case. If you've been in this business for any period of time and you look at your analytic data, you can see you have all that direct traffic where people just go and type in the website directly, not linking from a referrer site. And so that's a lot of traffic for any business. So it needs to be easy to spell. phonetically understandable. If you were going to be on a radio show and you were going to give out your domain name on how people could get to your website for more information or to buy your products, you want it to be something that when people only can hear it, they know what it is and how to spell it and how to type it in. If you start using these crazy variations where people use Z's instead of S's, or they make a domain like Brander and they leave out the E next to the R and they do these funky spellings. Well, all that kind of stuff works against you because it takes extra education. It takes extra explanation. Like if you go to my site, it's brander.com. Oh, but there's no E between the D and the R. So if you were being interviewed, you'd have to keep clarifying that, rather than just saying go to strongbrands.com, something that's easy to remember and easy to understand. And of course, it needs to look relevant to the content. This matters now. It didn't used to matter, but when people see search engine rankings, the next time you search for something in Google, for example, and you look at the rankings, you know that you're looking at the domain names as well as the title tags of the page names. You glance down and see what the source is. You see what the website is. And typically you see crap like, top 100 interest list.com/ and a bunch of crap. People don't click on those as much because they know it's just kind of search engine spam and it's not going to be high quality content. That matters now. High quality content. We've been talking about it, the engagement, the relevance. All of this really matters. And so you need to do things right. So the domain needs to look relevant to the content. That brand, that domain name needs to be related to content that you're putting out into your products and services. Again, in the past, people used to get away with using a broader name where they could do all kinds of projects and products under the same umbrella. So much harder to do that now. If you're going to do that, it's easier to set up sub-brands and have different domains for different divisions of the company or for different companies. So that really matters. And of course, it needs to be brandable or memorable. If you're going to make up a name like Uber or Airbnb or one of these types of names, Facebook, all these are made up branded names. Xerox, it's in the history of business that's always been the case where brands have been created and they can become popular over time and remembered over time through marketing. You can certainly do that for your business. It's okay to create a made up funky word brand, but it needs to be memorable. When people see it, they need to kind of remember how not only to spell it, but it needs to get attention and it needs to, just work for your marketing in that respect, that it gets attention and that people will want to click on it or they want to come back to it. So let's take a quick look at a few sites that I recommend you use for finding domains. Okay, so this is NameStation. You can go to namestation.com and you'll see this great tool. Now, there are two ways to get a great domain name. You can either find someone that already has it registered and buy it from them, or you can use a creative name suggestive tool to try to find cool domains that aren't yet registered that of course you can go and grab for $8 or $10. NameStation is a tool to help you find domains that aren't yet registered. So it's great. You can come in here. They have a free version that you can use. They also have a premium version with more types of effects and things that you can do and ways to search for lists. Anyways, so this is the free version. Let's say you're a coach of some sort and you want an interesting name for your coaching practice. You can type in coach. You can type get name suggestions. And what it's going to do here is it's going to combine the word coach with a list of other terms that it has in a database. And then it's going to come up and show us which ones are available. So out of the list that it searched real quick, these are all the domain names it came up with that aren't yet registered. So these are all available. Now, having coach in the beginning of the domain instead of at the end doesn't seem to be as good. It's not like coach something. We probably want something coach. So there's a way you can come in here, you can append lists, you can do different things, but one of the options you'll find is you swap words. So we want to put coach at the end. So here we find real quick, enable coach, evaluate coach, institute coach, instruct coach. So these aren't the greatest names, but this just shows you real quick from the list that it looked up which ones are available. So it just has a bunch of different types of dictionary words and related terms in the NameStation database that'll combine like with coach, having coach up front or coach in the back, and it will do searches on all those things. So you can come in here and find all kinds of lists. Let's look at a couple other ones real quick. So I clicked manager, and of course it says I've reached my limit. So you can upgrade. I think it's 20 or 30 bucks a month or something for the premium version, or you can run so many free searches a day. But NameStation's a great tool. They have a massive database of of glossary terms and items and verbs and phrases that they'll combine by the hundreds or actually by the thousands to any word that you type in to show you all potential possibilities that are available for you to register. So check out namestation.com. It's a great tool and I highly recommend it. Now let's take a look at BrandBucket. This is at brandbucket.com. So this is an interesting company and site and resource. These are domain names that are for sale that are kind of made up branded names. So they're kind of made up words, or sometimes they're a combination of real words, but they're really kind of made up names. So you can come in here and you can find all kinds of names for sale at all different kind of budget prices. So if you're starting like, let's say a new software company or actually a new company to do anything, not just related to tech, you could come in here and you could find very interesting types of word names to use for a new company or to use for a project. Like here's Azobi for $2,000. And by the way, all domains are negotiable. You can email the owner and just make an offer, and you can usually get quite a discount off what these asking prices are. But in this site, it's interesting. They've already created the logo for you, so you get that logo design for free when you buy the name. And of course, you don't have to use the logo. You could then go and have another one made if you bought the name. But it's kind of an interesting package that you'd get. You'd get the domain and you'd get the logo. But you can come to BrandBucket, you can look and get some ideas for different types of names. If you're looking for kind of a made up brand name and not just a kind of benefit driven long keyword domain, there are some, again, all price ranges. Here are some $60,000, $70,000 because these are 4-letter domains. Typically the shorter a domain name is, the more money it's worth because it's just more rare. But there's all kinds of interesting names. A lot of them are crap. But, you'll eventually stumble upon some names that are pretty good and stuff that you'll, maybe consider. So you can, make a list of all the ones you think could be good for a new company or for your existing company if you wanted to change the name and, and then kind of narrow it down to which ones you like and maybe which ones you may want to buy. I highly recommend before you buy any of these kind of unique names or any name at all, you go to uspto.gov and you do a trademark search in the United States Patent and Trademark Office database and make sure someone doesn't have a trademark on, whatever, like that Agovi or whatever that name was I just saw, or any of these names, or even like a normal name like supercoaching.com. Make sure there's no supercoaching trademark, already registered by someone, because if it is, you don't want to go with that name. You want to go with something you'll be able to trademark. So this is just another site you can come and look at for interesting types of brandable names for sale. You can type in, how many letters, if you want it to be 5 letters, 6 letters, 7 letters, 8 letters, it'll show you everything that's available in the inventory. But it's a good place to come and try to find names. I've actually done it myself for finding names for clients as well as my own projects. At one point I had a mobile video game company that I kind of sold my interest in and got away from, but it was called Tapsy. Tapsy, and I found it on a site just like this. Another one like BrandBucket is brandroot, I think, .com. You can also do a Google search for brandable domains and you'll find other marketplaces like this. BrandBucket's one of the biggest though. Anyways, it's a great way to find kind of names that you'll brand yourself. They're made up words. They're like an Uber, like a Facebook, like an Airbnb that you could use that would be unique for your business. So great place to look for very interesting and, of course, shorter domains, which are nice. Let's take a look at one more great resource I like. This is buydomains.com. I've actually bought a lot of domains through this company, either for my own projects or for clients that I was working with. It's a great place. They have, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of domains for sale. And again, this all depends on your budget. Obviously, if you don't have a lot of money to build your business, then you're probably not going to want to buy a domain from one of these domain marketplaces. But if you can afford it, it's well worth it. For example, I just typed in marketing here and it's all these domains they have for sale. They have the word marketing in it. Obviously, some are better than others. Marketing strategy secrets, that's terrible. It's too wordy, it's too long. By the way, my traffic secrets domain, I think I bought it from this company over 10 years ago for, I think I paid around $2,000. Now, a $2,000 investment in a domain for some people like, wow, that's just so much money. But the fact that a good domain, when you put it in an ad like Facebook ad or Google AdWords ads, or even in search engine rankings, the fact that a good domain, like a Traffic Secrets, something that gets people's attention, something that's related to the content, it can increase the click-through rate by easily 10, 20, 50% or more over competing ads that maybe have a worse domain. And that could equal thousands of dollars every month in increased profit by having that click rate advantage. So investing in a domain one time to build your marketing around, it's a really, really good investment. I can't stress enough what the value of having a really good domain name is. Anyways, you can come in here, you can see all different price ranges, $388, $2,200. I think this site, they kind of average around $2,000. But again, all this is negotiable too. See, notice the make offer next to the buy now button. If you, let's say you wanted marketingsites.com and it's $4,400, you're like, I can't pay $4,400, it's too much. Well, you can make an offer them $2,000. A lot of these domains are owned by thousands of independent owners. And this marketplace, they get a cut by listing it on their site. So they'll contact the real owner on your behalf and try to broker the deal. Because I think they're taking like 20% of the sale price. So it's in their best interest to wrap up a sale. Sometimes people will come down on prices, sometimes they won't. But almost every case, they usually will, because they just want to sell the domain. Most of these domains were registered. Of course, someone got them for $8 or $10. And most of these people that own these domains own thousands of domains that, there's no affinity to any one in particular. They could care less. It's all just numbers to them. So usually you can get good deals. But you can just come in here, you can find all kinds of stuff. They range from good quality to not so good. Let's say you were starting like a marketing agency. Let's try the word agency and see what we can come up with here. A lot of this is travel related. You can do advanced searches in here though, where you can control the length of the domain if you want your word to show up in the beginning or at the end. But like redesign agency, you can see some of these just aren't that good and you wouldn't want to build a business around it. But every now and then you can come in here and you can find some, pretty decent names. Web travel agency, not the greatest, but not that bad if you were doing some kind of online travel agency. Agencyassist.com is an interesting name. You'll just find all kinds of stuff. You can come in here on your own time, look around. But anyways, this is buydomains.com. My advice is never click the buy it now. Always click the make an offer. And also, if you're not getting anywhere through this site or another site you're trying to buy a name, do a Whois search. Go to like GoDaddy.com, search their Whois database, or go to a site like whois.sc. Look up the domain name you're interested in buying, even if it's listed on one of these sites, and you can send an email directly to the owner and just say, hey, I saw your domain's for sale online. I saw it was listed for $2,700 somewhere. It's out of my budget. Would you be willing to sell it for $1,400? So always, make it a decent offer. You don't want to say $100 because no one's going to accept that. But you can save, yourself $1,000 or $2,000 if you get creative with your offers. But this is buydomains.com. It's another great place to find some decent domains.